Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of what is the Arsenal News Show. Join you every morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Friday. You've made it to the end of the week. Fantastic stuff. It's so good to be closing in on that weekend and football returning for Arsenal. We did have plenty of football this week, to be fair, with European action underway, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same. That said, I have to say, the last night's game, Manchester United do know how to put on a show, don't they? They do know how to just offer up some fantastic entertainment. And Harry Maguire in particular, I would just like to say a warm, welcoming thank you to really bringing a smile to my face. Because whilst the ball was brought to yours, it was a smile that was brought to mine. What an own goal. Arguably, I think my second favourite own goal of all time. And I say that because last night I remember thinking what my favourite own goal was. And then I woke up this morning going, well, what am I going to talk about in the intro for this morning's show? And I remember it being that Harry Maguire's own goal was my second favourite own goal of all time. But the first own goal has got to be Emi Martinez. It's got to be. I mean, there is no best. I mean, someone said to me on Twitter, I think Lee Dixon's own goal was pretty special. But Emi Martinez's own goal is one of the best that we've ever seen. Now, also, I went to the League One playoff final. I think it was, League Two playoff final back in, what was it, League One? I think it might be League One, actually. Yeah, the League One playoff final where Christian Bielik played for Charlton, right? I remember Christian Bielik used to play for us. And I think it was 2020. And Naby Sarr, who was a centre-back for Charlton, just passed the ball back into his own net from about 30 yards. And it's genuinely one of the best own goals you'll ever see. They went on to win the game, quite thankfully. You'd be fuming if you didn't. But that, I think, is up there as well. But Emi Martinez, without a shadow of a doubt, has got to be the best one, surely. Anyway, good morning to those joining us in the chat box. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Blackshine, good morning to you, to Martin, to Amira, to Carl. Good morning. Matt G, good morning to you, to Stephen, to NSW, Stephen, Sweating, Merlot. NSW, Kaiser, Paul, Martin, Harrison, Johnny, Aditya, Stephen, Josh, and Answer, Steve, Sandman, Olu, plenty more regular and irregular faces in the chat box as well. Always good to see as many of you as feasibly possible. Let's crack on with today's stories. If you haven't already pressed that thumbs up, please do. It really does help us out. So thank you very much. Let's go to our first slide, which is, of course, to remind you that yesterday we recorded our West Ham Arsenal preview show. We chatted to Chris and Matthew and Marcus all about everything that went down and could go down in the week leading up to, and of course for the game. So if you haven't already given that a watch after you finish today's show, you've got something to listen to that's available on audio platforms as well, of course. Now, West Ham United, who we do face at the weekend, did play Ghent in yesterday's UEFA Conference League quarter-final. They drew 1-1, Danny Ings scoring the opening goal of the game before Ghent got an equaliser towards the end of the fixture. Very much looking forward to seeing a hopefully tired West Ham play on Sunday. That said, they did rest a number of key players. Antonio didn't play, he might have come off the bench. I'm not sure the subs were, but in terms of who didn't start, and Antonio didn't start, Souček didn't start, obviously Fabianski didn't start. Skamaka's still injured at this stage. Ben Rama didn't start. I don't think Zuma started the game either. Fornals didn't start the game. But they did have Rice in. They did have Ings. They did have Jarrod Bowen, Emerson, Sofal, Ogbonna, I think, played as well. But it was Rice and Downs playing in the middle. So, yes, I imagine Souček will come in to the team for Sunday's game. Now, the FA have said that they will not be taking any action against Constantine Hatzidakis, the assistant referee that was videoed appearing to elbow Andrew Robertson. However, they've decided that after reviewing all the comprehensive footage and reviewing the statements from Liverpool and the PGMOL, as well as multiple angles of video footage, as I've said, the incident and its surroundings, they will not be taking any further action. In reflection, I think when we watched the game, I think when I did the reaction show, I said that I'd be surprised if the assistant referee got away with no punishment, mainly because it just seemed kind of clear. But in the reflection of the last few days and watching back the footage as well, I think this is probably the right course of action. At the end of the day, players need to stop kind of approaching referees in the same way that they do. For me, I think that the referees need to be allowed to make the decisions, and arguably, if they haven't got the players crowding around them, then more chance of the right decisions being made. That said, there still needs to be certain pressure on officials to be making the correct decisions because, so far that has not been the case. And this season has highlighted the lackluster nature of the consistency of officiating in the Premier League that needs to improve. But I think this is the right, course of action for this situation. Now, Thomas Partey was not spotted in the Inside Arsenal training video that was released yesterday. Now, neither, of course, was Ben White or Alexander Zinchenko. Now, we heard on Monday that both Ben White and Zinchenko were working in the gym, and that's why they were not spotted outside. However, on that Monday, we didn't hear anyone suggest anything about Partey, and yet, in that training video, Partey is not absent. He's missing from those images, those clips, unless somehow after the sifting through the footage yesterday, I've somehow managed to miss something. But I couldn't spot him. A couple of other people who watched the video said they couldn't spot him either. We'll, of course, hear from Mikel Arteta today in his press conference. I want to give people the peace of mind that video that the inside training was, to my understanding, was from Monday's recovery session. So he could have even been training on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we've obviously just not seen any pictures. We might be getting some training pictures come out today, and hopefully that will show to us that Partey was indeed involved. But he wasn't immediately, obviously, in the clips that we saw. Now, Jimbo says he was off camera talking to the linesman, apparently. I don't know what the linesman is in training, but apparently Jimbo saying there that he's managed to see Partey off camera. Impressive. But, I certainly think when it's looking at a player like Partey, who is obviously so important, that he'll be fine. But as I say, we'll hear from Mikel Arteta in his press conference early this afternoon. Kai Karnat will be in place for us as well. So we'll hear and get questions towards the Arsenal manager, and fingers crossed get some answers for what's gone on. Now, in terms of transfer news for the day as well, according to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal are not listed as one of the Premier League teams moving for MacAllister. That right is reserved for Chelsea, Liverpool and Manchester United, have all asked to be kept up to date with what Brighton will be doing. There's an expectation, supposedly, that Alexis MacAllister will leave Brighton in the summer, and Arsenal have been linked to the player, and a number of outlets have said that he is on Arsenal's radar. However, Fab suggesting here that this is not the case, and only those three clubs we've heard from so far from him are the ones looking at him, and Brighton will decide a price for the Argentinian World Cup winner in the summer. For me, I think there are better options out there that we should be looking at anyway. Now, former Arsenal transfer target, a name that you should all be very familiar with, Houssem Aouar, is closing on a free summer move. Now, not to Arsenal, which I am insanely relieved about. I'm sure Bailey is crying somewhere, but I am certainly never looking at trying to bring in Houssem Aouar. But it is said that Wolfsburg are a team that are interested. Frankfurt are supposedly interested in him as well. But Roma are looking to be the main club being kept in touch with what's going on with Houssem Aouar. Jose Mourinho looking at trying to sign the French international on a free in the summer. So, but just be warned, expect some Aouar chat in the coming weeks, with his contract, of course, coming down to the end of his deal. And our headline story of the day, according to Sport Bild in Germany, Arsenal said to be favourites to land Moussa Diaby, the Bayer Leverkusen winger who can play on the right or left flank. It's been linked with Arsenal in January. And I certainly look at the player as someone with lots of talent. But I can't see Arsenal necessarily spending upwards of 70, 80 million on a wide player. And that is the price that has been quoted before by Leverkusen. So if Arsenal are going to spend that much money, you think it would be more so on a midfielder. And I think we will do that. But a winger, I just can't see Arsenal spending 60, 70, 80 odd million quid on a wide player when you've got so many options existing at the club and contract negotiations ongoing with Reece Nelson. It seems a little bit odd. That said, he's a very, very good player. Certainly would add a lot of quality to the Arsenal team if we were to join the race to sign him, which, according to Sport Bild, we already apparently are. But I can't say that I can legitimise these claims at all. Good player, very expensive. I'd be surprised. Now, of course, I need to continue to tell you about Bukayo Saka's signed shirt competition, courtesy of Football Prize. There are 43 tickets left and 3 days for you guys to enter the competition to try and win the signed shirt, which can also land you potential other big prizes like a signed and framed Dennis Bergkamp shirt, Tony Adams shirt, Charlie George shirt, and Liam Brady shirt. All individual prizes that you can win just by entering, as well as plenty of Football Prizes site credit too. So if you haven't already entered, please do. And if you have, best of luck, and I hope that we can bring home another TGT win in this. Right, let's go to part 2 then, and your questions right after this. Right then, let's jump into the chat and see what questions we've got to answer. Amberlay says, I'm not sure if Build are very reliable, are they? Honestly, I couldn't tell you, but it'd be hit or miss to suggest either way. I think they've got some stuff right. I think they've had some stuff wrong. And I mean, where does that leave us? All we can do is just report and tell you what we think about the links. But Moussa Diaby, interesting player, as I said before. Plenty of quality and goals and assists to his name. He's got loads of goal contributions for Leverkusen, but not sure whether or not the legitimacy of claims Arsenal are going to spend huge amounts of money on a winger are close to the mark or not. Marcus says maybe Sané comes to us now to escape Mane, assuming it is Mane that is not let go by Bayern. Of course, Sadio Mane has been suspended by Bayern after allegedly punching Leroy Sané in the face in the dressing room after the game against Manchester City. Kind of mad. Kind of crazy. That said, Mane is fair to say he's got a history of hitting Arsenal players in the face with elbows, which you can view if you watch back any of the highlights from Arsenal's games against Liverpool down the years. But is that going to mean that Sané is more available in the summer? We'll have to wait and see. You'd think it would be Mane that would be moved on out of the two of them, though, rather the one that's been the victim of the punching. Let's go to Lucas. Says, which current Arsenal player is most likely to become a pundit after they retire? Oh, that's a good question. Who is the most likely? I mean, the ones that have been obviously recently in the studio, we've seen Gael Clichy recently jump onto the Man City Arsenal game earlier this season. We've seen Cesc Fabregas, who's obviously Ian Wright. Martin Keown does a lot of it. But who at the current group would be a good pundit? I can see Aaron Ramsdale becoming a pundit in the future. I think he'd be quite good. He'd kind of be like a Micah Richards, if you like, adding a little bit of comedy. I think Richards is obviously brilliant. Maybe Rambo would be the one to take up the reins after he retires. Lee says, remember that Pepe was supposed to add quality at 70 million and ended up looking a bit like a damp squid. And yeah, is it damp squid? I thought the phrase was damp squib. Is that right? It is damp squib. Oh, please say that, Lee, you've gone through your whole life thinking it's damp squid. I really hope that's true. I really hope that you've gone through your whole life thinking it's damp squid. When it's damp squib with a B. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm being a complete hypocrite here, and I make mistakes in pronunciations and wording all the time. But I really hope that you've been going around saying damp squid. I mean, to be fair, I've never known a dry squid, other than when they're fried and put into little circles. Other than that, they're pretty dry when you do that. But damp squid. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That's made my morning, that has, Lee. Thank you for that. But in answer to your question, in genuine terms, I think, obviously, price does not always equal quality, and yes, your example of Nicolas Pepe certainly proves that. Andrew says, hey Tom, if we use the salt shakers for the Italian media, what should we use for the German media? Still salt shakers. I mean, it comes from the saying a grain of salt. It's nothing to do with like Italian stereotypes. You know, their food is not salty at all. Their food is perfect, or perfecto, I guess. But yes, I mean, that's probably not even the right Italian word, is it? What's Italian for perfect? It's perfetto. There you go. So I was pretty close. Keith says, Tom, don't you get annoyed when other people on YouTube keep saying that we as Arsenal fans don't understand what the pressure of a title run is like? Maybe some are too young, but I'm not. Obviously, some Keith won't understand. They won't know. I know there's a lot of listeners of the channel that have never consciously experienced a title race since being Arsenal fans. If you think about it, it's been 19 years since the last one. I know that we obviously competed for a title in the late noughties as well, but it's not nowhere near as close as we've been this time around. I think that to be annoyed about it means that I think, Keith, maybe you're putting too much emphasis on caring. I think if it's annoying you, just stop watching it. Just stop watching people telling you that we don't understand what the pressure of a title run is like. Watch what doesn't annoy you is my advice there, which I hope this channel doesn't. But yeah, look, just enjoy it. I'm just telling people to enjoy this title race. I think it's a great experience. I'm loving it. Yes, there's pressure. Yes, there's drama. Yes, there's nerves. But I'm just going to try and enjoy it because, it's been such a long time since we've been able to enjoy a title race, if we're being very honest. Matt says, have we been linked to Asensio yet? Probably. His contract runs out, I think, at the end of the season as well at Real Madrid, and they're still discussing potential extensions. I think he wants to stay with Real Madrid. I tell you what, though, if they do let him go, it's not a bad option to bring in to strengthen that forward line on a budget, especially if we're committing loads of money to the midfield, because I think obviously being a left-footed player that can play on the right-hand side, that would offer us something that we don't necessarily have behind Bukayo Saka. So maybe that's something that we would look to, but he wants to seemingly stay with Real Madrid from the quotes that have come out from him. Dave says, given we are hopefully going to get Champions League at least next season, we should be able to move our transfer targets up the elite range. So if so, what are our three main targets? I think obviously Declan Rice is one, Dave. I think a right back will be another, whether that's Ivan Fresneda, whether that's Sasha Boy, whether that's Rydal Baku, has been suggested by some people, I think, as well. We'll have to wait and see. And then I think another midfielder, Moises Caicedo, still continues to be linked with the club. So two midfielders and a fullback, I think, would be the three main targets for the summer. Akbar says, positive news. The FA is banning betting sponsorship on the front of shirts after 25-26. Hope that it helps reducing gambling addiction. Yes, no, that is good news. I'm conscious of the fact that we previously have had a betting sponsor on the channel. That came to an end fairly swiftly, and from that point forward, I assured our members in the Discord server that we wouldn't be having one of those again that I'm consciously agreeing to. So it is good news, certainly, and I'm glad that that's taking place. So thank you for highlighting that, Akmal. FA says, how did you find the Arsenal authentic away men's shirt in stock? It's never in stock on Arsenal Direct. That's why. I got it when it came out, mate. I got it when it came out. That's why I'd recommend to anyone, as soon as the new kits come out, you got to buy them then and there. I know that some people have to wait till Christmas to get them, but I'd suggest to your parents, if you are indeed inclined to still receive Christmas presents of a shirt, footballing shirt kind, from those around you, friends, family, etc., then tell them to get it when it comes out, box it up, and give it to you at Christmas or birthdays. That's the best way to move forwards. Daniel says, if you had the choice of Caicedo at 80 or Onana at 50, who would you go for? Bear in mind, Caicedo plays within a good system and good team, and Onana the opposite. Remember how good Basuma looked. I think that's harsh on Caicedo to make the comparison to Basuma. I think I'd go for I think if it depends upon how much that affects the likelihood of getting Declan Rice. If Caicedo at 80 million means you can't get Declan Rice, but Onana at 50 million means you can, I think you probably go for Onana and Rice rather than just getting Caicedo. So I think it depends upon the availability of Rice at a certain price tag. Let's go to Abbe. Says, Tom, have you seen the title race? You seem too young for that. Yes, I mean, I was only 8 or 9, but yes, I have indeed seen one, but I wasn't anywhere near as consciously aware of being involved in one. And of course, the one which unfortunately ended with Eduardo's injury, I witnessed as well. But it's still something that now at 28 years of age, I feel so old, which I know, which some people older than me is going to go, how dare you say you feel old at 28? But it is funny how quickly life does go. I remember starting this show when I started taking over in 2015. What was I then? 20 years old. So come a long way since then. Nate says, are you going to the Champions League? Are you going to the Champions League semi-final? No, not as far as I'm aware. Oh, sorry, you mean the women's game? Potentially. I don't know yet. I've requested it. I don't know if I'm going to get it, but potentially. I'm waiting to hear back. I hope so. It'd be a great spectacle to be able to attend. Let's go to... Oh, yeah, how dare you? Dave says old at 28. Lol, yeah, I recognize that. It's just you. I reckon when you guys were 28 as well, you were like, oh man, life's going so fast. So don't blame me for, for saying things like that. I've got no appreciation at all for how old other people must feel at whatever age they're at. But I can for my own age. So yeah, it's the back. Like you suddenly start waking up and your back hurts at 28. It's not right. It doesn't feel good. So as amusing as it is to see United mess up, it does give Spurs a lift of finishing in the top 4. Shouldn't matter to me, but I just can't have Spurs finishing 4th. Hopefully, teams like Brighton, I mean, arguably even Liverpool, can kind of get themselves together and do what they need to do. Jimbo says some of us witnessed Stonehenge getting built. Ben says, I was 9 years old when Michael Thomas burst through the midfield. Still my favourite footballing memory. I mean, what an amazing thing to be able to witness live. And that's the thing, like, we moan about the older we get, but obviously those younger than us, and I'm younger than I know plenty of you, and didn't witness 89 live, you can look back on life and think, yeah, whilst I may be old, I still got to witness some things in my own lifetime that others didn't. It's the blessing of life is what it is. Why are we getting so deep on a Friday morning? We shouldn't need to get so deep. We're talking about ages all that much. Andrew says, we were in the title race the season Leicester won it. I'm not sure that we were, Andrew. I know we came second in the end, but it was kind of a fortuitous end to the season for us to get second. We needed that chaotic end to Spurs' campaign for that to take place, and it was rather hilarious. I don't think we were really ever in that title race. Barry says, Tom, wait till you get to 74. Barry, thank you for listening at 74. I love it when we have listeners that just tune in and have obviously been tuning in for a long, long time and have been watching Arsenal for decades and decades. It's fantastic. But yeah, I will wait. I hope I make it as far as you, Barry. I really do. Matt says, would you sign Rashford? Yes, absolutely. Yes, I would. We're going to stop the show there. I've got to go do the morning shop today because I'm in Chicago next week, which means I'm not around at all over the weekend and stuff because I've got a lot of prep to do it. So sorry for the shorter show. I'm going to do the food shop this morning before I start work. And I've got to get loads of stuff in ready for my trip. And as I say, there will be a show tomorrow, Sunday, Monday. But then things will change because obviously I'm going to be in Chicago for a week. And I am hoping to still do the 8 a.m. show, but it won't be 8 a.m. UK time. It will be 8 a.m. Chicago time. So, of course, that does make things a little bit tricky, I know, for some people to tune in. But my flight is... What is my flight? It's a bit... Yeah. I'm not going to be able to do the 8 a.m. show on the 18th, I'm afraid. So there'll be a day off unless I pre-record something. I might do. We'll see. Or maybe I record something in the airport. But yeah, there'll be 3 more 8 a.m. shows at UK time. And then for a week, there'll be 8 a.m. Chicago time, which is 6 hours behind. So it'll be a 2 p.m. So it'll be a lunchtime show for you guys here in the UK and then wherever else you are in the world. But thank you, everybody, for listening. It means the absolute world to me that you continue to do so. I'm very much looking forward to heading out to the States to see plenty of our US-based listeners who are coming to the Chicago event. Really excited about it, and I can't wait to get out there. But we've got plenty more Arsenal to talk about. I should have a show for you tonight at 6 p.m. as well, so make sure you tune in for that. Myself and DG are going to be doing some stuff regarding that, so looking forward to it. And yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it all. Thank you for listening. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and as always, up the Arsenal.